Hi everyone, welcome to our 65th video session here at Impactionable. Today we're here to hear from Anxhela, but before we get started, let's introduce about what we do at Impactionable really quick, and then we'll ask our talented group of individuals here to introduce themselves in 2 sentences or less. So essentially, Impactionable mission is more geared towards creating a community that acts to make a positive difference in their local communities. We don't just say that we're going to do it, we actually do it. So ways that we make positive impact is by, helping people find careers and social impact. We host social innovation competitions and fund entrepreneurs as well. And then we help spread the word through marketing initiatives like video sessions for people who are doing good work in the space. So essentially, let me just introduce myself and then we'll move on to other people on this call. I'm Shivani. I'm the CEO of Impactionable. I'm here in Chicago, Illinois, in the US. And outside of my work at Impactionable, I also work at Chicago Public Schools as a budget and grants analyst. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Serena, if you can please unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello. So my name is Serena, and I am Italian and Albanian as a background, and I've been in the UK for 6 years now. Where I was able to launch my fashion business, and during my time running the business, I became passionate about humanitarian crisis that fashion creates. So I'm now exploring how to I'm now exploring open source intelligence on how to tackle modern slavery. So it's more towards digital investigations for modern slavery, human trafficking around the garment production and textile industry as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Serena. Wow, really amazing work. Thank you. Jennifer, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Sure. I'm Jennifer Keltner, and I call myself the Executive Director of Freedom. I am in Long Beach, California. I created a nonprofit in 2019 called Rescue Party Give to raise awareness of human trafficking using creativity and arts, music. We launched a global awareness campaign called Trek of the Traveling T-shirts, and Anxhela is helping me with that. She has one of our T-shirts. So, thank you.
Wow, thank you. Amazing. Yonida, do you want to go next?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Yonida. I am from Durrës, Albania. I've been graduated in Tirana in political science, Master of Science in political science. And during my studies and after studies period, I've had many NGOs experiences, and now actually I am head of marketing in a non-profit organization in Tirana, Leadership Development Association, LDA Balkan. It has its own branches not only in Tirana but also in North Macedonia, in Kosovo, and its aim it's about youth leadership and cooperation through Balkans countries. I would like to develop more my skills in marketing, communication, and social media. This is.
Wow, great. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Ron, do you want to go next?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Ron and Liz Anderson. We are both retired. That's why we're still in our pajamas. And I have been a mentor for a while. And so I encountered Anxhela several weeks ago, and I've been working with her on various aspects of what she's doing. And so when I found out about this presentation, I just thought it would be great to come and join and find out a little more, because it sounds really exciting what the work that's going on. So yeah, I work with a group called Multipod, And Multipod is a mentoring program basically for mostly for healthcare providers. However, we are branching out into other areas. So that's about me. And my wife is a retired nurse, so that's why she gets involved with the healthcare side of things.
That's great. Thank you, Ron and Liz. Anil, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Anil. I'm from India, and I've been working in solar power project for more than 8+ in India. And I last year due to pandemic, I could meet Anxhela, and from there, I think we have started interacting with each other. And I feel that Anxhela is one of the girl who is creating and trying to create impact in the society, and that's why we are related. I love to connect with people and networking with people, and especially those who are there in impact creating industry. So thank you so much.
Ksenia, can you go next?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ksenia, and I'm currently based out of Dublin. I'm originally from Russia. I studied in Germany, and I'm currently working as a market specialist for Russian market at WhatsApp in Facebook family. And I'm really passionate about assisting even in like digital, in informing local NGOs where I come from about the tools that they can use. And now soon we're launching the chat for impact in WhatsApp, where basically NGOs can get grant and use the tool to promote, to talk, to communicate with their stakeholders as well. So I guess this is my area now of interest, and also small businesses. So every time we try to educate them about our tools, what they can do, especially in pandemic, it hit them quite hard as well. And I know Anxhela from many coaching groups there we are together, and I thought that there would be really important discussion here, and I love taking part and learn how I can contribute as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mtoko, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Togo here in South Africa. I run a nonprofit called Imbizo Foundation. So we pretty much specialize in people development, especially with youth. And one of the passion I've developed, so I don't know if you know, South Africa right now, depending where Brazil is at, it's competing with Brazil to the #1 headquarters when it comes to crime. So lately, for the past 5 years, at least 7 women disappear every day. And if you see 3 children on the streets, one of them has been raped. So that's where South Africa is at. And a day we have 65 children missing. So that has been very challenging to me. So I started developing this app called Shesha. So it means come swiftly, come and help. So if we can track a dog, as a dog owner, you have a chip on your dog, on a collar. If you can track livestock, a cow, why aren't we actually putting more effort in creating technology that is gonna track your child whereabouts and your loved ones? So right now I'm embarking on a journey of creating wearables, rings, so bracelets, earrings that have a chip on them that you can track your loved one in real time where they are, especially children. So because 65 children every day in South Africa are disappearing and they can never be found, and some of them, most of them are sold to slave trade. So I live near the port in Durban, where there's a lot of ships coming in and out, and they disappear and we never find them. So right now I'm just looking to learn in terms of technology space. And with this app, I'm trying to develop and the wearables that you can wear as a ring to track your loved one who's been missing. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Really powerful. I actually also think you would be a great contender for one of our competitions if it's a hardware device. So thank you for joining. Julie, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Julie Desai. By profession, I'm a lawyer. I'm from India. Thank you, Anxhela, for introducing me to this platform. I have been working with, social sector almost for 20 years now. I work with various NGOs, and I have one primary NGO in which I work with women and girl child, and we work on various issues. During the lockdown last year, due to COVID, I started a YouTube channel where I feature women from around the world who are working with various different sectors, who basically are inspiring to others. Anxhela has been one of my YouTube, as part of my YouTube channel. I've interviewed her with her human trafficking, but I have interviewed some amazing women with sustainability, who are working with public health, who are working with adolescents, girls and children who are working with war zone in conflict. And I think, I have been working in the social sector for almost 20 years, when I did not realize that, I have some knowledge to gain. But what happened, chatting with these amazing women from around the world, and hearing their stories, I have gained so much knowledge about diversity and various issues. I'm also a human rights activist, and I'm also part of the National Human Rights Commission. But locally we work with girl children with their education, skill development. I work with rag pickers. I develop we do some self-defense training for street children, because that's something which is very important. And we work through our NGO in all the natural calamities or man-made calamities. Also, I'm part of one of the 100-year-old organization where I'm part of the governing board, which is an all-girl women education institution. And it was set up by, everybody knows who's Mahatma Gandhi. It was set up by his wife. She was one of the promoter of the institution, and we just completed 100 years. I'm honored to be part of that organization as well, because it works with education of girl child. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, we have such talent in this call today. Thank you. I'm going to introduce our speaker, and then let's get on with her presentation. So it is estimated that there are more than 40 million victims of modern day slavery. Have you ever thought about what would happen after the rescue? Anxhela Bruci is the founder of EmpowerFULL, a socio-economic empowerment model which aims to shape a new path for the employment of survivors of human trafficking in Albania. Through a 6-month entrepreneurial training process, survivors set up slow food social enterprises and provide employment opportunities to the rest of the survivors by creating an ecosystem of survivor entrepreneurs. In this video session, Anxhela aims to reframe the narrative of survivors' empowerment, viewing survivors as entrepreneurs and social change makers. She is on a mission to make the difference in the lives of underserved by helping survivors of human trafficking to acquire a sustainable income through self-employment opportunities. Absolutely amazing. Can't wait to hear this presentation. And thank you for being here, Anxhela. I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Shivani, and thank you to all the participants today. I really appreciate your time. Before we start, I wanted to maybe divide us into 3 groups randomly, so we can make the session more interactive. We can have the skeptics, the promoters, and the uninterested in the topic. This will make you more open and freely to ask questions that are challenging, because my main aim for being part of this session today is to challenge the model, challenge the way how I perceive it, and add new and different things to it. So I can start randomly. The first person that I see here is Shivani. And I don't know if you want to take part in the questions, but I can assign you as a skeptic.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to.
Then I have Ksenia as a promoter. I have Thonko, I'm so sorry for pronouncing the name wrongly, as an interested in the topic. You presented that you were interested, but I'm sorry, you'll have to be the uninterested in the topic and challenge me with questions. I have Yonida as the skeptic, and Julie as the promoter, Jennifer as the uninterested in the topic. That's such a paradox. I have Serena as the skeptic, Ron as the promoter, and Anil as the uninterested in the topic. What's the focus of today? Today, we're going to talk very briefly about what we understand on human trafficking. We will be breaking some of the myths. We will be showing the importance of economic reintegration, some good practices, challenging the bad practices worldwide, and very briefly, what we're trying to do with EmpowerFULL. Human trafficking is a phenomenon which knows no geographical, political, or religious limits. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime defines human trafficking as the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, receipt of persons by, most importantly, using the means of threat, force, or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, to benefit and achieve the consent of a person by exploiting it for the purpose of exploitation. We usually think about human trafficking as only being sex trafficking. However, there are many forms of human trafficking. Among the three most common forms, we can identify sex trafficking, forced labor, and debt bondage. But let's see some of the main myths that are usually going around. The first one is regarding human trafficking being only something that happens in illegal or underground industries. Unfortunately, this is a phenomenon that happens everywhere, anytime, in any country. It can happen in restaurants, in huge fast food chains, it can happen in hotels, but also in nursing and care homes. Another myth regards people being trafficked as physically unable to leave, locked in, chained. This is a myth. This is something that sometimes media uses to sensationalize the news and to make human trafficking something that will sell and make more clicks. However, people into trafficking, victims of human trafficking, you can find them in the bus, you can find them at the same street that you cross, and sometimes they might not even have physical signs of abuse on their faces or in their body. Another myth regards to human trafficking victims being primarily based in developing countries, or human trafficking happening only in developing countries. Unfortunately, human trafficking is happening worldwide. And what is more paradoxical is that the victims, they come from developing countries, but human trafficking occurs in developed countries. For example, we can take UK. 60% of the victims in the United Kingdom, they are from Albania. But when we talk about human trafficking within Albania, we have less than 112 cases identified each year. This makes the problem being very hidden and underground and not being addressed properly either by governmental institutions. But when we talk about human trafficking, we see it as a process. And after the rescue, there is a whole new journey that happens. And we need to talk about that as well. When human trafficking victims are rescued, they go through the first phase, which is the initial assistance. They receive immediate support regarding their medical needs, psychological needs, and all the necessary support that you might need after getting out of a trafficking experience. After approximately 6 months or 1 year, depending on the case, depending on the victim, they go through the second phase, which is the semi-independent phase, the phase where survivors, they might live in independently in rented apartments, or they might live in a group with other victims together. This is the phase where they start talking about dreams, aspirations, but they also need to acknowledge their experience. They understand that it's not their fault, and that can happen to anyone. It's a form of deceit that has happened to them. And we talk about the third phase, which is the phase where we can apply different models of economic reintegration, which is the long-term phase, the independent life, where the survivors takes their own life into their hands and they decide to draw a future by themselves and to be the initiators of their change. But let's talk about some hopeful practices and successful practices in the economic empowerment and empowerment of survivors, but also which put on the spotlight human trafficking traffickers. We have within Albania the Kebono social pastry, which provides employment opportunities for women victims of violence, divorced or married women who have been married with men convinced to prison and also sentenced for different offenses such as human trafficking as well. We have a car wash, which provides employment opportunities to survivors of human trafficking, and also in different industries such as hairdressing, laundry services. We have also a social crafting garage, which is a very innovative initiative in the south of Albania, who has employed 8 victims of human trafficking, and they have trained them to provide handcraft products using sea stones, which is very nice because it also promotes the culture of Albania and the tourism of Albania. But let's have a look also worldwide. We have Rescue Party Give, represented by Jennifer today, who they understand the corporate world, they know how it works, and their goal is to cooperate within different agencies to end human trafficking and support survivors. We have Liluye, who through ethical fashion and compassion, they create innovative and sustainable products by empowering survivors and providing an income to them. We have Savera, based in India, an essential oils company that contributes to the employment of survivors with a sustainable income for them. We have Swift Wash, who they provide employment to victims of commercial sexual exploitation. They are focused in this specific form of human trafficking. Thistle Farms, they help survivors to recover, and they provide a safe place for them to live, but they have also great products that they sell. So I would encourage you at the end of the session to have a look in each of these social enterprises and initiatives. And Rethreaded, through which each purchase gives freedom to women affected by the sex trade and provides employment. They have employed over 4,000 survivors. And there are many more initiatives that I couldn't fit in this session, but please have a look after the session. You'll be excited by what they do. So let's talk briefly about EmpowerFULL. We aim to provide a new chance to survivors, a new chance to the employment of survivors, and create sustainable employment opportunities. Our mission is to economically empower survivors of human trafficking by first providing the tools to strengthen their entrepreneurial skills, and then the means to become financially independent by funding their own social ventures. How we do that? We start with a 6-month training program. We provide an entrepreneurial training program to a cohort of 20 survivors. We start with personal development. We get deeper into their specific aspirations and skills. We provide a specialized vocational training regarding to where they want to focus. And then we provide 3-month internships, paid internships in successful enterprises in Albania, where they can practice the skills and they can match with successful mentors who they are going to help them to go through the last phase, which is the co-founder self-employment phase, where survivors receive grants and they set up their social enterprises in Albania through different areas of Albania so they can geographically affect and reach most of the cities of Albania. What do we aim to do? We aim to change the narrative. When we talk about survivors of human trafficking, we talk about high rates of unemployment, a very stigmatized labor market, low skilled, low levels of unemployment, because most of them, they've been trafficked at the age of 16 to 24 years old. They didn't have the means and the time to complete high school or even go to a higher education. And we also deal with victim blaming, because when you're a victim and when you're not employed, you don't have access to economical resources, and you're always dependent on either state institutions or non-governmental agencies, which is not sustainable. I want to thank particularly my team, Eileen, Lily, Sancho, Jill, Joanne, and many other team members and also mentors. Ron is here, Jennifer is here. I wouldn't want to mention any other names because I will forget, but they've been very helpful in this journey. Please don't hesitate to ask us for anything. These are our contact details, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anxhela. I'm going to open it up to the community. Does anyone have any initial thoughts? Jennifer, you might be on mute.
So I have a question for you, Anxhela. I wonder if, these women, that you are trying to help will not just go back to becoming prostitutes?
If I understood your question, is the woman that I will be helping?
Yes. How do you, I'm doing this as you asked me to like ask you questions that are thought-provoking. I just am curious, I think that these women choose this lifestyle. And so what are you going to do?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. Well, we first will be presenting the model to survivors in the third phase of reintegration, as we mentioned in the beginning, which is where they have took the decision to build a new life. They have understood that this experience has happened. And what we do to ensure low levels of dropout, but also high sustainability in their social enterprises, is that we follow them thoroughly with mentors, that they evaluate their process each month. We also have the outcome star, which we evaluate each month where they feel that they are, how they think that their initial aim aligns with the aim that they're currently at and the current state that they are at. But of course, we anticipate that we will have dropout levels and we might have other cases of trafficking. But one of the main components is to ensure sustainability in either the salaries that they will get, so they don't need to get back to this trafficking experience, and also support to have a helping hand, but also someone who really listens to them without prejudices and without seeing them as objects, but as survivors and entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Montoko, go for it.
When you were going through the 3 myths of human trafficking, you said it's not only confined in them being bondaged and then the victims being in a cage, but you said you could be sitting next to them in a bus. So that's a fully grown adult. If they can go shopping and do all these things, because it's assuming that some of them, they're amongst the society, they don't look the part. What's stopping them from going back home or going to the authorities?
Thank you so much for this question. Well, one of the reasons, and here I wouldn't want to make a specific human trafficking profile because each case differs, but usually what research shows and what the conversations that we had with survivors shows, that they can't do it because they are mentally trapped and mentally chained, which means that their families are at risk. Usually the traffickers, the traffic victims, they know them very well. They know their families, they know their house. Most of the cases, they've been by people whom they know very well. And one of the methods to traffic victims from Albania was the lover boy method, where you pretend that you are the partner of the victim. And then once you go abroad, they are presented to a different lifestyle. And another reason that makes them very skeptical about talking about their experiences, that their documents are being held. So if they go to the police, in some states, prostitution is considered, sex work is considered illegal. So they are scared that they might be arrested. In some other cases, they might have committed illegal offenses because they've been forced by their traffickers and they are scared that they might end up in prison. They have no money to pay for a lawyer and they have no documents to be identified. So this is a way of how they feel trapped into slavery.
Anxhela, it's pretty obvious to me that what you're doing is very important and needs to grow. And so I ask well, for me, it's an interesting question is you need lots of money at some point to help young entrepreneurs who have gone through this terrible thing. So what are you doing in order to acquire that kind of money?
Yes, this is really challenging in terms of sustainability as well. But to have the first slow food lunchrooms launched, we have estimated a 60% income from international grants. then 15% from international corporate social responsibility partnerships and national social corporate responsibility partnerships. For example, we can get the fridge for free, we can get a space for free to set up the first lunchroom, and all the rest from crowdfunding. When we set up those two first slow food lunchrooms, then we will have a dedicated fund from the profits from these first two lunchrooms that can generate enough income to use it for the upcoming cycle of survivors who will be employed and set up their own slow food lunchrooms.
Go for it, Ksenia.
Thank you so much, Anxhela, for presenting. And building up on Ron's question also for fundraising people who are, do you have those in your team, or do you do it like maybe you will have like ideas and plans? What are the, let's say, strategy for fundraising? So like to give more details about this.
Thank you, Ksenia. We have two people in the team that they are, their area of expertise is in fundraising and marketing, and they will help us with the fundraising initiatives. But we have thought two different fundraising channels. The first one was we used the What If campaign, where we interviewed successful people and leaders within their own areas of expertise to talk about limiting beliefs and challenges. This helped us to increase our visibility, and we can do a follow-up campaign within the What If to set up a fundraising strategy. The second one is through a filmmaking. We will be using the skills of our team to make a film, and then we will be sharing the film, and we will be asking the people who want to see the film for a small fee, and also use that for a fundraising campaign to showcase more about our visibility and what we're planning to do.
Asking as a skeptic here, how do you know that, you know, the entrepreneurs that are coming through your program have been victims of, you know, human trafficking? You know, is there some sort of it might be very triggering to ask, you know, what those stories might be, but how do you essentially validate their stories?
Yes, that's really important to understand the experiences. For this reason, we are partnering with NGOs and public. For example, in Albania, there is only one state shelter which provides only rehabilitation services, immediate support to victims. And for this reason, we are partnering with non-governmental organizations. We have 3 to 4 organizations in Albania who work directly with survivors. We go there in their shelter, we present the program to victims of human trafficking and survivors who are there. We know that they've been trafficked because they are receiving services in the NGO, and the interested survivors, they sign up to get to know more about the program, and then we go through a skills assessment and aspiration assessments with our mentors to understand where those survivors they want to be. We know that not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and we wouldn't want to make everyone an entrepreneur. This is why we choose 3 to 4 entrepreneurs, and the rest they will be employed within those enterprises of survivors.
Anxhela, how would you compete with all the, you know, with your lunchroom that you have, with just people wanting really like an experience in dining and food and restaurants? How are you competing with all of that? There's such an indifference to the situation of what's going on. How do you market yourself so that you can get more and make the difference?
Yes, we are very concerned about this PT consumerism, and we wouldn't want customers to receive services from us just because we support survivors, or this is a survivor-led enterprise. Sometimes they might not even know about it because of stigma or specific security issues. And what we're doing is that we provide an innovation in the way how customers they will be consuming food, because all the products will be coming from women-led farms, and we will provide this slow food movement initiative where you can have very nice and tasty meals, but also being very healthy and taking care of your body. We also will be providing personalized lunch packages depending on each body type and each person's diet. and also catering services for different events with also convenient prices compared to the fast food chains that they've been set up in Albania.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I know, Angela, that you've done an awful lot of thinking about making this work. And of course, most of us are experiencing the COVID-19 trauma. And I'm quite sure that you've thought through that for your situation in Albania. Could you let us know how that will be a challenge and how you plan to defeat it?
Yes, COVID has been the biggest challenge so far with this initiative because survivors, especially in Albania, they struggle with digital literacy and access to resources to have the training online. And we value that the in-person training will provide more benefits and will be more effective for them. So we couldn't start a training program. But what we have been doing, we have been using COVID to connect internationally with leaders, with mentors, and also with NGOs working directly with survivors to evaluate what have been their successful practices, so we can take the success from them, and also we can evitate to make some mistakes from lack of knowledge or lack of experience at the beginning. This has given us a very good solid ground, so we can start very energetically when we start within the next 3 months, we anticipate.
What do you think about the supply and demand for women and children and, you know, just the corporate world? How is it in Albania? Because I can share what's going on here, but that's not my, what do you think is happening and why is this still going on?
Well, when we talk about Albania, human trafficking is not happening here. We have few cases here compared to what's happening abroad. There are three main reasons that I would want to emphasize. The first one is the role that media plays, the role that if you go abroad, there are plenty of work opportunities, you'll have a brilliant life. There are those movies where you see magical things happening. And when we talk about the Albanian victims, usually they come from rural areas, which it means we are a very high patriarchal society still. So those girls, they would never go out for a coffee after school, or some of them, they would not even go to school. And when they have this opportunity to find a man that promises to them to go abroad and find employment and live this beautiful life, they get betrayed. And this is one of the main factors. Also, it's the high profit. As you mentioned, Jennifer, human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry which generates incredible profits. And it's one of the main reasons why this is still happening.
Do you not see in these rural areas, and I just something that I've been looking at, especially this month is child abuse prevention month. And what I'm learning and hearing so much is 1 in 4 women are basically going to be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And so looking at that, I think that makes the individual vulnerable. I'm looking at how do we stop the supply and demand. Do you see in your reviews with these women interviews, were they abused when they were children? Do you have any information on that?
I would like to mention research in Albania that shows that the majority of the cases of victims of human trafficking, they've come from dysfunctional families and abusive families. Research supports that as well. But some of them, they've also had supportive families, so I wouldn't want to generalize that. But research shows that they've had different violent experiences in their childhood, which builds on to their trauma and experience in the adulthood.
Angela,
oh,
go for it.
Sorry.
Go for it.
Can I also ask, because I'm not familiar with the process, do you yourself search for people who you could help, or they can reach out to you? So how, for example, a person that needs help knows that, okay, there's this EmpowerFULL organization, I should go there and they will help me?
Yes, this usually happens through the NGOs that they're providing immediate support and reintegration services to survivors. They will go to them and ask for support, and then they will know what is happening around Albania and who are the organizations that are providing such a support, and they will link them with me. But it can also happen through a contact. They can contact us through email to the email that I've also included in the presentation, and we can have an assessment together, also with the support of the experienced professionals from the NGOs, because we don't have the full capacity to assess the state of a victim or of a survivor. They might be a victim and they might need other support before coming to this program.
What are some of the bigger challenges that you might have when you're looking at the next, 5 years for your organization?
Among the biggest challenges is the community support, especially when we talk about developing countries and the Balkans, because this is where we're thinking of keeping it for the upcoming 5 months, is how the community will perceive that. There are a lot of prejudices and stigma, and if they will know that this lunchroom is run by a survivor, they will have different perceptions about that. There are those myths that I've presented before, and that's one of the challenges, and we aim to address that through awareness campaigns, bringing the community closer to having community. We can have a community coffee hour within the lunchroom with free food, so the community can understand that they can also gain from survivors employment opportunities, economic development. When they see that the survivors can bring something on plate, they see them as change makers and not somebody who is suffering or who is in need. Is this power balance? And also another challenge is, of course, the funding. We don't know how sustainable the enterprises will be within the first 2 months, and we might need to have funding ready to support them in order to not fail. Having a startup is very hard. Imagine having a slow food startup in the Balkans. It's even harder.
One of the things that I've been thinking about is that you indicated that these women are part or have been part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. And is there not some protection that's required for them once they're in the workplace, and that their former captors might be out to restore the relationship, if you know what I mean?
Yes, I fully understand. This is the reason why at this phase that we're at, we're focusing on the third phase of reintegration, where we are dealing with survivors of human trafficking who have gone through all the previous support and all the previous phases. They might have testified, or they might have been through different cases, but now it's everything done and they are ready to rebuild their lives. But in cases where we talk with the NGO and we know that we need to be aware of a specific case, then we adjust the model, and we don't have a public slow food lunchroom, but we instead have a hidden place where it only provides catering services and delivery services, so that the trafficker cannot find the place and cannot get in contact with the survivor. We can also provide security guards, but that will make the slow food not very approachable towards the customers, and we need to think also that perspective. That's really a challenging question. I really like this idea of roles now, because we can really challenge each other without having those limits and barriers. It's very helpful.
Do we have some promoters here that want to say something very enthusiastic about EmpowerFULL?
Well, I've been promoting, but I guess it's I've got probably no, I knew that there would be good answers here, and so that's why I'm really quite pleased with what I'm hearing, because it's there's been so much that's been thought through, and I think that that's one quality that I've found since I've first heard about this concept. And that so much thought has gone into it. It's the challenges have been looked at, and so on. And so I asked the rest of us is, can you imagine trying to do this? Can you imagine trying to do this in your own country? I mean, I look at what we've got here in Canada, and I see nothing. I see nothing like this that would be helpful. And I kind of wonder, okay, Anxhela, when can you export to another place? And I'm quite sure you're thinking about that at some point in the future.
Wow, that was very promoting and very supportive. Thank you so much, Ron. Our dream would be to expand it, not because it will be our initiative and we will be the ones who will be expanding it, but because we really believe that the key towards empowerment, and not only for survivors of human trafficking, but for each vulnerable groups that has been through hardships, is economic empowerment. And within the next 10 years, that would be our goal. But first, we need to see how sustainable we will be locally, and then we can expand with more confidence and more insights on the model.
Go for it, Julie.
As a promoter, I've known Anxhela for a few months now. And as a promoter, I must say that, each community and each initiative, like what Anxhela is doing, always has challenges. But I think it's always good to start and then face the challenges. And as you go along the path, you learn a lot, and you learn to correct your mistakes and find out the solution to your challenges. So I think Anxhela is doing a great work, and I'm sure a lot of us here on the same platform, I heard about the other attendees. I think they're doing wonderful work, and what's important is that just believe in a cause, and I think you will find a right path to go ahead.
Thank you, Julie. Very encouraging. Anxhela, so we have about, let's say, oh, okay, you know what? Anil, go for it.
Hi, Anxhela, and this is a question from uninterested group, you can say. But as you know that in Albania, the highest currency denomination is of 5,000 rupees note, correct? And one of the reason for human trafficking is wherever there is no traceability of the transaction. So this is going to be the biggest challenge. So why any person who is going to be a part of this particular initiative will continue if she is not going to get in the form of rupees or in the form of cash money, hard money?
Yes. Well, we see survivors as entrepreneurs, and this is the innovation within this model. Usually survivors are provided with employment opportunities and are considered as low-skilled workers. So the employment opportunities are very limited. Also, the labor market does not want to know about what they've been through. They have specific needs. They have children, they need to go and get extra vocational training. Some of them, they don't have education at all, and the labor market does not want to know about it. And the innovation that we tackle is that we see them as entrepreneurs, and we provide this tailored program. We take them step by step. It's not that we are dealing and we're saying, you are becoming an entrepreneur, this is your funding, go and start up your own business. But we're starting the journey together and supporting each other step by step. And in terms of the benefits, they are not getting paid, but they will have a mini scholarship program to sustain their basic needs during the 6-month training program, and a paid internship, and then a new job, which will be sustainable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Anil. So we have one more thought to ask before I ask the final question to Anxhela. Does anyone want to volunteer? All right, so my question to Anxhela is, what are your asks from our community?
Thank you so much for this generous question. We have a lot of asks, but we would focus at this stage for similar like entrepreneurs and ideas that they are working in the area of economic empowerment, and ideally within survivors of human trafficking, to have a chat with us. Please drop us an email or let me know of their contact details so we can have a quick chat and learn from their experiences. This is very valuable. And also from experienced mentors within Impactionable and experienced leader that can guide us through this very uncertain certain period. But I think these are the two main asks for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anxhela. This has been absolutely amazing. I love the work that you're doing. I'm so glad that we were able to get connected, not only to you, but other members of your community through your initiative. Thank you to everyone for taking your time out on a Sunday to share your thoughts, your ideas as a skeptic, a promoter, or someone who is uninterested. It's really good to hear other people's opinions about this. And I, for one, know that I'm not very well versed in this category. So thank you, Anxhela, for teaching me a little bit more about human trafficking and what that looks like around the world. I have, some announcements to make before we do close up. And if you want to stick around and I can answer any questions you might have, we can do that as well. So yes, we host these video sessions every other Sunday. We cover topics anywhere from human trafficking to environmental conservation to what sustainability looks like for us. So it's all geared towards topics in the social impact space. We also have jobs in social impact that we regularly post to our community, not only on our Facebook group, which I just added to the chat right now, but essentially events and opportunities in social impact too. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining. And if you wanted to check out and be a part of our community in that way too, please do request to join. Thank you guys.